let's get back into it.
We're talking about friends today, and
Buddies.
not only just friends, but just support in general. And I know I've covered this independently before, but I think talking about it with somebody else will just kind of spark a different idea, because man, my mind is just firing a lot better whenever you're bouncing ideas off somebody else. But the first thing that comes to mind whenever we're talking about friends is something that I know you're really good at, and it's something that a lot of people suck at, and a lot of people are very sensitive about. Whenever I send a video to you that I am finishing up, you're not hesitating to give me some critiques on it, and you're not a yes man. And I think there's so much power in having friends that aren't just gonna say, "Oh, this video is sick," because if the video sucks and I'm just kind of mailing it in,
and it also comes down to me being in the same category of film with you, you know. But at the same time, I've got those close friends who aren't within film or anything, and they're from the get-go not yes people, so I'm already hearing a little critique, you know. And those are the best kind of friends. But anyway, to you and I, from me to you, I will always critique something that you dish out to me. I'm not going to send you 10 fire emojis right off the bat and be like, dude, that was the sickest shit ever. I'm going to be like, okay, that was sick, because it usually is. But then I'm going to have something to go along with that, because, I mean, getting into it, sitting down, and actually taking the time to look at somebody's work that's close to you, I think is a pretty meaningful thing, and it can go a long way. Like, a few words can go a long way. Like, growing up, I'd always I'd run into the room, I'd ask my family, or like whether it was my sister, my mom, my dad, I'd be like, hey, check out this little flick I did, whatever. If it was like a drone in the backyard, me jumping into a pool or something, like something so just minimal as that, but getting some feedback that wasn't, well, they wouldn't use fire emojis if I'm speaking, but just speaking to me straight on and telling me, well, why don't you do this? Then I'll go back and I'll think about it and be like, God, why would they say that? Like, what do I need to change? Like, that was the sickest cannonball in the pool. But it's like, okay, maybe I do need to do a little slow-mo right there. I don't know, just like from a young age, like, I mean, that comes back to the maturity of growing your videos too. Yeah. It's like how funny that started to like the critique that you and I would give each other now. It's like, okay, you need to add this audio level, that soundtrack does not sound good in that area, move that, lighting sucks, whatever it is, you know, like it's.
Yeah, I think just having people around you that not only will tell you things are bad, but tell you they're good as well, right? Because I think support doesn't come down to just how your work is. It comes down to other facets of life, and having these people around you that can kind of read how you're feeling then too. It's like, man, if I'm really struggling, you're like, man, this is sick. That might pull me up a little bit. And tomorrow you might be like, all right, you needed to change this.
Right. And it comes down to like understanding how the person's going about it. Exactly. Just like that.
Yeah,
like,
it's like actually.
If I were to like show you, but like in person too. Like if I were to show you something, like, yeah, dude, check it out. Like not liking it at all. I mean, then I would be like, all right, that was cool. But like in a different sense, like, hey, check this out. Then face to face, give me the rundown of what you hate. You know what I mean? Like totally. Like,
because the cool thing about it is obviously me and you have slightly different styles.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you tell me something to change and I really like it, I don't have to change it.
Yeah.
But I think so many people hesitate to say they don't like something because they're afraid of you getting mad at them. They're afraid of, you know.
And I mean, and it comes down to that in the industry too. When you're working with people you don't really know and stuff. And I mean, that's a whole nother thing. If it's an acquaintance, it's somebody who you're just editing with. But I mean, if it comes down to it and you're with this person editing, like say you're working with Drone Hub and you got another editor or whoever it is, like, and you're working on the rag, it's like, okay, it's time to start digging into each other a little bit. Yeah. And I mean, that comes down to a longer term thing, obviously. Like you'll start to see that later as you become friends, but straight off the bat, if you're editing with someone and you're just meeting them, give that critique right off the bat. You'll be better friends with them right off the bat than waiting it out and just saying all your stuff looks sweet. But if you want something that looks right, I mean, that's the way to go.
And if they get mad about it, they're probably not the right person to be around, because if they're sensitive, then they're going to be a pain in the butt to work with anyway.
They're not going to go very far at all. You need to be critiqued, and that's the number one thing in the industry.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, finding people, and I think you brought up a good point with starting a relationship and still kind of feeling it out there.
Yeah.
I think whenever you meet somebody new, don't just like rip their video apart.
No.
You know, you still want to be a good person and you still want to come off right. But you know that you don't get these actual like meaningful partnerships by just like praising every single thing that they do.
Right.
The people I like the most are the ones that if I get off the rails of what I like really believe in or really like know I want to do, they're the ones that are going to call me out for it.
Yeah, and be like,
And that's
get
valuable.
back in your spot. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're
exactly.
gonna, and maybe I'll be like, oh, I actually want to make this shift, and then
Yeah.
they'll be able to read me and be like, oh yeah, like you actually want to do that. This isn't just
Yeah.
laziness. This isn't just today. But I think it's so valuable to have people that, you know, not even just in your job, just in everyday life. Whenever it comes to like, you know, your morals and comes down to like your personal beliefs, it's like,
And that's the biggest thing that you should take with you when you're doing it, because the more you have those, the more people are going to realize that, and it's going to be way easier to form those, like, not even just relationships, but like relationships within creating stuff or like editing something or whatever. It's like they see that style, and if it's kind of going outside of what you're already making, it's like they notice that and they'll say something. You don't want to be unnoticed because you don't know where your spot is.
Yeah.
Like it's
yeah, I don't know. I just feel like just having people that'll call you out for your bullshit. That's just so important.
To sum
And
it up.
It really, yeah. It really just some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah.
You got to learn to love it, or else, you know, you probably won't have that many meaningful friends. But let's talk more about just having a support system. So we talked about taking risks.
Yep.
We talked about taking the leap into things that don't necessarily make sense.
Yeah.
But whenever you have friends around you that aren't into photography,
Yeah.
they're more so just like into you doing what makes you happy.
Right.
Talk about the importance of just having those people in your life that are going to push you to do things that don't necessarily make sense.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it is important. And obviously, like, I want to see my other friends pursuing whatever it is, whether it's fitness, whether it's sales, whether it's anything. I mean, I want to see them obviously doing what they're loving, but it's that push that comes out of it. It's that critique in anything. It's like if you have one thing that you want to talk about, let's just talk about it real quick, get it over with, and then just go back to a casual conversation. Because, I mean, with what we're doing, a lot of people don't do this. And it's hard to just get deep within talking about it unless you're talking to another filmmaker or anybody like that. And, yeah, just having that support system, just slightly know what you're doing and being there and being like, okay, like, what's the next project, or just something like just asking you when you're feeling a little bit like you're not doing enough at the moment. Like that's the best thing ever. Like whether it's your parents or whoever it is.
Yeah, and I'm living by myself now, but for the past couple of years I've been living with a roommate. I've been living with Jordan.
Yeah,
who
yeah.
I've talked about a little bit on here, and I think that Jordan's he's not a photographer.
Right.
Like probably is about as far away from a photographer as you can get. But I loved that because I would work till, I don't know, later in the night, and then I'll be talking to him. And it was nice to talk to somebody that
Right.
had no idea what I was
Totally.
doing.
Because the thing is, though, as far as Jordan, like the people that you keep close to still have creativity.
Yeah.
Like it's like I surround myself with people who, okay, you don't like to be in film. Obviously, you got to be creative, but you can be totally creative and do something so much. You don't have to be an artist of any sort to be a creative person at all. Because when you go down the line of your job, no matter what it is, there's going to be some creativity involved, whether it's speaking to people and forming a sentence that can persuade people and sale or just anything. It takes creativity all the time. And I mean, the people I surround myself with happen to have those little creative skills, or else I just wouldn't. I would get along. I mean, I can get along with anybody, but like it just wouldn't be as meaningful because I can't talk creativity. I can't have that talk.
I think me and Jordan clicked a lot too because it was work ethic. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of the people that I end up really liking or really getting to know better, they don't have a problem with working hard,
Yeah.
because it sucks sometimes,
Yeah.
but we were in totally different areas of life. He's going to med school now, and I'm still doing film, and it can't get much more opposite than that. But the thing that we had in common was that if it was a Thursday afternoon, we're not gonna be just messing around. He's in class or doing whatever, and I'm working.
Yeah.
Sometimes, obviously, it would change a little bit, but
And then finally, when it does change
never
a little
had
bit,
to
and you
worry.
have that free time, it's the best thing
Yeah,
ever.
you never had to
But-
worry about. You never had to worry about him, just like being an idiot and especially living with somebody. That's tough.
It's tough.
Whenever you live totally different
Yeah.
lifestyles. But I think just like kind of reading people, and if they can work as hard as you, if they're not going to give you crap for working hard, I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
so meaningful.
And I love being around the people that work 10 times harder than me, too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
You should always do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like they're thinking you're working less, too. It's just like we're on a different page or
Yeah.
just whatever it is, and it's good to see the people that are just constantly going out and doing that.
Yeah, I heard this quote recently, and it made me laugh because it kind of
Let's hear it. I'm ready.
because the quote was something along the lines of I had to laugh at a lot of jokes that weren't funny whenever I was coming up, and like that's so true, dude. And it comes back to what we were saying about just like trying to find those relationships, trying to find mentors, trying to find friends that are in the industry.
Gotta laugh
And
at
you meet a
some
lot of people that like you don't
cringy
necessarily
stuff.
click with, but like this person
Yeah.
could do so much.
I love that
And it's
quote,
just
yeah.
like, man, that's so true. You're just trying to fit in. You're trying to find your crew. It reminds me of just like freshman year coming to a new city, not knowing anybody. I don't want
yeah.
anybody to hate me. And then you meet somebody who you don't click with, and it's like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like you're cool, but like you're never gonna talk to him again.
Right.
And I think that's something that is really hard whenever you're starting out. Is
It is. I mean, whether it's like a friend of a friend too, and you're in those situations where you just meet somebody and it's somebody else who's coming in and just they say something. I mean, that's just meeting people.
Yeah.
It's totally just talking about just random stuff that doesn't pertain to much, but I mean, that's how it's gonna go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve.
Oh yeah.
Trying to just grow up in your life and find people that are not going to screw you over, are going to be genuine people.
And I think that's what makes
And-
life a little bit more fun too once you get to
Yeah.
this age. Because I mean, people talk about college is the best time and stuff like that, which it's sweet. Like college is sweet, high school is great, whatever. Some people go through weird phases, but I think the best part about the 20s too, and I could be wrong for a lot of people, but it's like having that group next to you that's just like the most meaningful, because you finally are in that space where it's like everybody around you it just feels right. And I mean, it's gonna feel weird at times with other people still. I mean, you're still getting into your industry, you're still young, but at the same time, you're with such a meaningful crew going into it, and that's fun to me.